What's up? What's up, Jim Body? Yo, join the stream, Jim. Actually, I think I sent the wrong link. Hold on, use this one. Jimmy Roddy, join up. Nikki, what's up? What's up? Can you talk about how you deal with bookkeeping and returns? So bookkeeping, there's tons of people you can get to actually outsource that bookkeeping part. But on like a fundamental basic level, you can use QuickBooks. That's probably the starting point, right? Because Inventory Lab is only going to give you so much information, right? As you buy and continue to restock different ASINs, those buy costs are changing. And right, so Inventory Lab isn't necessarily going to give you a perfect solution, a perfect image in terms of how much you're spending and really the health and overall quality of your business. And so that QuickBooks piece is going to be super helpful in terms of really having that image, right? It'll give you an immediate P&L. It'll give you exactly how much you're spending, right? Because it links directly to your credit cards, those sorts of things. But ultimately, if you want to completely outsource that whole process, you can probably hire a good bookkeeper, for a couple $100 a month. We've had Chris Potter on the podcast a couple times. He's super smart dude. He does bookkeeping. I don't know exactly how much he costs, but that's a good solution as well. Seller Board, I think, gives probably more insight than Inventory Lab does. So Seller Amp would, not Seller Amp, Seller Board would be a good solution as well. In terms of returns, right? That's going to be really, and so with FBA, obviously, a lot of those we never see, right? Because most returns that happen on Amazon return in sellable condition. So they're just going to go straight back to Amazon and go back to the FBA center and just get resold, right? But when we're talking about with a lot of like the apparel, the shoes, when stuff then tags get taken off and shoes get, tried on and get dirty and stuff like that, ultimately those sorts of things, we're going to have to find a way that kind of scales and allows us to liquidate those sorts of items, right? So eBay, Facebook, Poshmark, um, any sort of local stores, any way you can liquidate, used shoes that you can't sell back on Amazon as new, you'll get any sort of money back that you can. But finding and figuring out a consistent, scalable way to deal with your returns is going to be huge. The other thing is, right, we have insight in terms of what sorts of categories, what sorts of products are getting returned more. And so, for example, women's shoes, girls' shoes just naturally get returned more. And so that's maybe something that either you set a higher criteria in terms of the products and the shoes that you're and the ASINs that you're willing to bring on, or just simply eliminate that altogether if you want to mitigate and eliminate and minimize some of those returns, right? So definitely start to get very picky in terms of the margins and the buying criteria that you're leveraging and using with um, taking on and onboarding some of these higher risk, higher return sorts of categories. Just to keep in mind and just kind of level out, right? Because with returns, our time cycle is going to be extended, right? We're talking about 45, 60, 65 days before we start to get that money back if we have to sell it twice to get that same profit. And also going to eat into our margins as well. Jim Body. I'm still trying to figure out this whole StreamYard thing. Can you hear me? Yeah, it looks like you're muted. Just hired a retired family friend to help with bookkeeping, 10 to 15 hours a month, 200, 250, depending on how many hours. Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And I would assume it just gives you a ton more insight in terms of the health of your business, what's going on, those point in time P&Ls. Bookkeeping is huge. It's definitely something that There's a lot of smart people that can take care of that for us if we don't want to do it ourselves. Best place to get ungated for OTC health and beauty frontier target. Um, I think Jimmy, did you get ungated for OTC? I don't remember where.
Yeah, I used Walgreens.
Did you? And what's the pro
Walgreens.
isn't there something else you have to do to submit some sort of documentation?
Uh, Not that I remember, no. I think I had to go through like a, questionnaire. That was kind of it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can get something from bulk office supply. Um, the Weiners, Weiners. That's another possibility as well. If anyone's done the OTC ungate recently, definitely put it in the chat. What's your OA to wholesale ratio nowadays, and are you doing a prep center, and do you have your own warehouse? So last year I had my own warehouse. It was just it was a pain. Couldn't get consistently people to work in there, and so we didn't renew that lease. But everything right now is strictly to prep center, and it couldn't be better. Not having to touch anything. Obviously, the sales tax advantage is huge. Not so much from a wholesale perspective, but more so for like an OA perspective. It's massive. Yeah, prep center straight to prep center is amazing. I never want to have to touch a product again. In terms of the OA to wholesale ratio, still rebounding from Q4. Q4 is pretty much 100% OA just because a lot of the easy money, a lot of the quick turning money we were focusing on. So now we're starting to incorporate a lot of the wholesale accounts that we had and just onboarding new accounts as well. And Jim Body and I have been partnering on some wholesale stuff, which has been pretty cool.
Been pretty fun.
Ooh. What's your criteria and how do you know how many of an A of a to buy of an ASIN, and when sourcing do you take into account prep center fees? I mean, of course, right? That's gonna essentially just account for inside your buy cost, right? Because it's a fee, it's something you have to pay for each and every buy cost, each and every product. Bundles, obviously, you want to account for that extra percentage, the extra fee that your prep center likely charges to bundle a 2, 3, 4, 5 pack, etc. And in terms of how many units to buy off the bat, right? That's something that's, we can get close, but we don't need to be perfect, right? Because that first order is really going to dictate how many we're going to be able to sell time and time again. And so, right, that first orders, we're just meant to get close, right? We don't want to buy 200 when we should have bought 20, right? But ultimately, if we buy 50 and if we could have, bought 70, it's not a big deal, right? I'm still a fan of placing a 40, 50 unit test order just to kind of see how it works, see what sort of buy box rotation we can claim, and then go from there, right? Because with that first order, you gain a couple key pieces of information. First and foremost, what sort of buy box rotation you can claim, how many units you're going to be able to sell a day, right? That's huge because that's the piece that's going to scale for a 30-day, 45-day order, that sort of thing. But also you can quality test the product, make sure it comes in and it's in the same condition that you would think and matches the Amazon listing, all those good things. And so like a 40, 50 unit test order is never going to hurt. Just to kind of, again, find out and figure out and qualify a couple of those key points. Any BOLO list y'all recommend? So actually, we've been talking about this quite a bit. And so the only one I really know of is Dave, our friend OA Deals. He has one. It's still active. He's had it for a while. So I imagine it's pretty successful. Actually, the Kickflips group that's considered a BOLO group, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I'm in that one myself. We found some good deals the past few days. So
You just
yeah,
joined that, right?
like 3 days ago. Yeah.
And I mean, it's already paid for probably what the next like 3 months of
With what we bought, probably like the next 3 years.
yeah,
So we did well over like 1K
yeah,
profit.
big time.
So well over.
Can I start away with $1,000 USD budget? I mean, of course you can, right? A lot of people like to pigeonhole themselves into like a specific number that you can start with, right? But the fact of the matter is you can really start with anything. obviously the ease at which you can scale is going to change, right? Someone who has $10,000 to play with naturally isn't going to grow as fast as someone who has that $1,000, right? The ease of scaling, that aggressiveness in which you can scale, that's going to change, right? Because if you only have 1,000, well, then that 1,000, if you spend it wisely, turns into 1,300 or 1,200 or whatever that number is. And so you're going to see just a slower compounding effect from that. But you can start for sure. There's no reason not to. Jim Body, how much did you start with?
$2,000 in cash.
2,000,
How
and
much did
yeah,
you?
it's significantly more than that now. Please type names in chat so I can look up. Oh, I think was that about the BOLO list?
OA deals. All one word, OA deals on Instagram.
Yeah, and then the one Jimmy's in is kick flips, I think, right?
Yeah, like you kick a ball and it flips, like flip a book.
And it has a
Kick
D, right?
flips.
Or a
Huh?
Z. I mean, a Z has a Z at the end.
I no, it's just regular S.
Oh, they're both good dudes. You can probably win with both of them. Obviously, we talked about Jimmy. We cranked his pretty well. Can you talk about your coaching program? Yeah, I mean, essentially, I mean, and just like, I mean, there's a ton of coaching programs out there. Mine specifically goes through and develops really that hybrid model of OA and wholesale, kind of fundamentally builds both of them from the data perspective, right? You really leveraging the historical data to make those accurate, efficient sourcing decisions. And then from a wholesale perspective, right, we are pretty much only brand direct in terms of really qualifying the product up front and then mapping them back to brands. And so it just builds out OA wholesale kind of in unison. And then obviously, if you want more information, definitely shoot me a DM, reach out, and we can talk about if it's a good fit. What you got going on tonight, Jimmy?
Nothing really, just working on some lead mags and my private label stuff actually. I'm getting a little Google Doc ready with like all the stuff I want that I need quoted. And then once I get that quoted, gonna order a sample hopefully by the end of this week and see where that goes. So
And that
yeah.
sample, what is that? So talk me through that sample. That's gonna be pretty heavy, right?
I think like less than 15 pounds, probably like around 10. And I mean, it's just to see if the product's like what I envisioned it to be. So we'll see how it works out.
That's way interesting. And did you get that idea yourself, or you got it from one of the courses you're in, or whatever?
What do you mean, like getting the sample?
No, like the idea, the product idea. Did you come up with that yourself, or did you get help with one of like your PL coaches?
So the coaches like taught us how to find these products, and so I basically used that strategy, went and found my product. I actually didn't find a product for like 2 months, and then I, booked a call with one of the CSMs, client success managers, and basically they were like, dude, your search criteria for these keywords, like you're supposed to find keywords that meet certain criteria that you can, hop in the keyword, get the product going and grow. Because, if you hop in a keyword with like too many reviews or too many units sold, you're not going to get much growth. And so hopped in the call with him. He said my criteria was completely off. Like I was overestimating everything. Like I shouldn't have been, doing 50K average monthly revenue. I should have been doing like 10K and then go up from there. And so basically, first product, like as an example, he clicked on, that's the product I'm, doing today. So yeah, you kind of have to tinker with, private label. It's a whole ball game. So yeah.
That's super interesting. And like in terms of this specific one, like what's your level of assurance that's gonna like be successful? Are you like, because obviously when we're talking about OA and wholesale, like anytime we buy something, we're pretty dang sure that's gonna operate how we think, right? Because all the data that we're using and we know and love. But from a PL perspective, it's like completely different, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of don't know if it's gonna sell or not. I think mine's is good because, well, here's kind of like my argument. there's 4, 5, maybe 6 competitors, competing listings. Two of them are like brand new. All of them don't have, the best reviews, like an average of, 3.5 to 4 stars. And so I think I can come in and do that. Um, 4 of them are Chinese sellers, 2 are American sellers. Each listing sells about like 400 to 500 times a month, but the ASP is like 80, $90, which means you can easily get, 10, 12K per listing in profit per product. And so that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm, an American seller bringing a quality product that's better than all the products combined, better listings, better quality, you know, become damaged because it's a big product and it's wood. And so it's easy to get damaged in the box. And we're coming up with ways to, make it better. So that's
So
kind of my argument. So,
are you gonna have it on a separate Amazon account, I'm assuming?
yeah, I still got to set up a separate account. And I mean, from what I hear, it's you just need a new LLC. So
That's gonna be sick though, because you're building a brand, like we could all just promo it heavy, right?
wait,
I mean,
what was that? You cut out for a sec.
because it's a different account, right? We can just promo it heavy on social, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you promo it heavy too, I'll let you buy wholesale. So yeah, just saying. If you want to promote it,
But that's, I mean, I don't really see a reason why you would want to commingle your PL products with your current Amazon, right? Because like obviously we saw how Dan Thousand Asins do it, right? Because especially because you're building a brand, right? It just gives you, I mean, you can promo the heck out of it, and essentially there's no
yeah.
risk in doing so.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm like myself promo it to other Amazon sellers or like promo it to like getting influencers. What do you mean by that?
Just on Instagram, like where anyone that wants to buy it as a consumer, right? It's a cool product.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't think I'll take the Thousand Aces route where I tell everyone my product because it's pretty like almost easily replicatable if you have the right sourcing agent. But
Okay.
like I'm definitely hitting up like a ton of like mom accounts, especially like Utah mom accounts, because it's kind of like a Utah-based company. And in Utah, it's like very um it's kind of like a whole niche where you have like a Utah-based company. And so like,
Yeah.
Utah moms support other like Utah moms. It's a whole little community. And so if I can tap into that niche and start influencer marketing, I can really like catapult my product, in terms of reviews, ratings, and whatnot, and overall sales. So that's kind of where I see it. But I don't think I'll take the Thousand Days route and blast it to my own, Amazon page where people are trying to replicate what I'm doing. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I
I don't know
guess
though. We'll see.
my thing is, right, if so say you build your audience to like 20,000 people, right? There's a good chance that out of those 20,000 people, there's like, 10, 15, 20 that might be interested in purchasing that, right? And those that could really start to really affect the sales rank, especially in the beginning, right?
Yeah, I think the other thing too is like I don't see it being big of an issue, but like the haters out in the community, that's an easy target, to do a 1-star review.
Yeah,
I don't see
yeah,
many
yeah.
haters. There's only like one or two that I can, like, if I thought real hard, I could come up with. But like, if someone
I
wanted
don't think you
to,
have to
like,
think super hard for them.
well, I mean, like, I'm cool with everyone. It's,
Yeah,
just that like, there's gonna be like one or two like, you know, bad seeds out there that just want to ruin someone's life. So
yeah,
I don't
of
know. I don't
course.
know. I'm just yeah. So yeah,
How
I'm
much
not
to
gonna.
trademark your product?
I haven't trademarked it yet. I'm still getting the quotes. Once I get the supplier, like, supplier ready, samples being shipped out, then I'll start getting trademarks, doing all that jazz, getting pictures, listing set up, a new Amazon account, UPC, the GTIN. So that's sort of my plan moving forward.
Are you gonna do your own listing? Are you gonna get someone on Fiverr or something?
I'm gonna do my own listing. Kind of want to learn how to do it myself because, I mean, the big thing I see now is, and I kind of get a bit of FOMO, not really, but people having like equity in a SaaS company, one of our good friends, um, private label, stuff like that. And so I kind of want to learn how to build my own company that has equity in it. And so building like a, Amazon private label brand is something I want to do. And maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, I can exit for, hopefully 7, maybe 8 figures, but probably on the low end 7 figures is kind of where I see it going. So
This
yeah.
specific this specific brand, or you're thinking a different one, like a future product? You think this is the one that provides the exit?
Well, I think like the product I'm doing will provide a solid foundation for the brand, and then I kind of expand it to other products that build the brand up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yep, yep, yep,
Scrub Daddy initially had like that. You know Scrub Daddy, right? Shark Tank.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, so that the Scrub Daddy, it originally was just the yellow ball thing, and now it's a whole collection of stuff. And so that's kind of where I see my product going is I've got a solid foundation, super good profit margin product that, is pretty popular. It's rising in popularity at the moment. It's been rising since 2004. If you look on Google Trends at the keywords. Um, so using that as a solid base and then expanding my product catalog into different kitchen wood-based type stuff. So yeah, it's kind of where I
Do
think it.
you use tactile arbitrage? So I used to be a pretty avid user of tactile arbitrage back in the day when Miles and I were just getting started. We were pretty heavy into I don't even know if it's around still, but it was Expander, which is like an add-on to our tactile arbitrage, and so we ran that pretty heavy. Um, but now most of the sourcing that we do now is pretty much very, very strategic and very specified, right? So either we're looking for a specific brand, or we're looking through a specific source, or we're looking through given sellers and things like that, right? And so it's very, very pointed, right? It's very strategic in where we're sourcing. Naturally, with that, we just have a bit of a higher conversion in the products that we look at. And so, right, but TA is really good at kind of casting a wide net, right? And so, especially as you're getting started, right, but you need a wide net, right? But you don't necessarily know what niche you want to dive into. You don't necessarily know the sources you can source from. You don't necessarily have competitive sellers you can learn from. And so TA is pretty good to like cast that wide net and just see and try and catch what falls through. But as you naturally progress as a sourcer, you're going to be able to get more refined with how you're sourcing, naturally just raising your conversion. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Have you ever messed with TA, Jimbo?
Uh, I think like when I first got the roadmap, I got the free trial and I followed a video of I forget who it was on YouTube, but like plugging a Keep of product finder into it. And I basically couldn't find anything. The other thing too is like most of my inventory comes from, coupons and discounts. And tactical arbitrage doesn't really do that for you. It'll just give you like the retail price compared to Amazon. And so, I mean, if anyone can do that, then why even do it? Because everything's just going to tank. So I try to be the
Yeah,
first, like, I try to be the first one on a good listing and then kind of ride it out. So,
yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Have you done any bundle listings under your own brand? Not yet, but it's very interesting, right? Because that's sort of like that mix of like private label and wholesale, where you can essentially create your listing, bring your listing to the market, but they're both brands that probably are already kind of, trusted and accepted and sought after in the marketplace. So that's definitely something that I'm super, super interested in for sure. I just think there's a ton of opportunity with that, right? Because you're taking, even if you can find two products that separately are frequently bought and combining them, there's not really a reason why they wouldn't be purchased together with the proper pictures, with the proper listing, with the proper PPC, all those sorts of things. Bringing that to the market, there's tons of bundling opportunities, right? With grocery, with beauty, with essential any real industry, any niche that you're talking about, there's bundling opportunities there. What other questions we got, guys? That's a good question.
Yeah.
How important is your own seller list? Those that so you kind of refine it, right? And so you kind of like have different trust levels in different sellers that you find, right? But naturally, it's going to be ever growing and ever evolving, right? Because those sellers are evolving, those sellers are adding products to SKUs and things like that. And as you kind of branch out to different niches, you're just naturally going to find different sellers that you can continue to learn from. Um, but yeah, I have like a folder in my bookmarks with a ton of sellers that just we're constantly keeping tabs with. I'm sure Jimmy, you have the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, spot on.
How many hours of sourcing do you guys put in to feel very confident in finding winning products? You're more recently new. So what would you say?
Me, I
Yeah.
would say, like, I mean, I can find a winning product in 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even 5, like, in that range. But if I wanna get, like, a good day's spend in, like, you know, 15, 2K, 3K, it's probably, like, an hour or 2 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so if and Max, obviously we're working closely together, right? But to develop that confidence, you don't necessarily it's not like a certain threshold, right? If you think something is good, that's essentially why test buys are super important in the beginning, right? Because you don't need to be overly confident in everything you're looking at. You can use a test order to really validate and gain that confidence firsthand, right? Because a test buy is not going to make or break you. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to completely crush you. And so throwing 10, 15, 20 units at something, 5 units of something, especially if you're strapped on cash, and you'll develop that reassurance that A, the product is going to operate how you expect. B, you can sell X amount per day and you can use that to scale out a future order. And see that the quality of the product is really going to be expected or what you expected. So if the confidence piece isn't there, still continue to act. Just scale down your orders, right? You may think you can sell 300 of a product, maybe not do the whole 300, maybe do 20 or 50 or 75, right? You're still going to be making money. You're just not going to be, and I would just kind of, ease down the aggression of scaling that you may want to just until you can kind of develop that confidence. Favorite adult beverage? I'm a White Claw guy for sure.
Corona.
Yeah, I could see that. You're the Corona type of guy. Are you big into cosmetics? For me, it's not that easy to match the products. It's tough, right? There's almost so many different sizes and like not flavors, but like
The colors will get you, like, matte brown,
yeah,
more like
yeah. I was gonna say
maroon,
flavor.
red,
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly. Yep.
they'll
But
get you on
yeah,
that
Jimmy
one.
and I are starting to get into cosmetics pretty heavy. Hopefully, within the next couple months.
Yeah, yeah. Cosmetics are kinda weird, though. Some wholesale accounts, distributors are really good, but from what I've noticed in talking with people in the, cosmetics wholesale community, they're pretty strict on who they allow you to open, an account with. Or what wait, no, I worded that completely wrong. Like, they get really strict about it because they wanna sell to, brick and mortar store. And when they do that, they wanna make sure their products are on display, and you constantly have to be posting pictures to them. Like this one guy I talked to, it's every week, has to post a picture of their products on display. And he can't do that for all the brands he carries until, like, he has a designated day for each product on the shelf and all that stuff. So it can get pretty hectic, and, I mean, if you have a salon, go for it, but it'll be, it's easy to go with a brick and mortar store.
That's such an advantage in the wholesale space, having like a storefront that you can leverage. That's going to open up so many opportunities and accounts that naturally other people won't be able to.
Yeah. But with beauty, it's a bit more, gotta weave your way through it, so.
Yeah. When it comes to winning the buy box, how much does FBM seller play a role in competing with you? Um, so there's not really going to be like a black and white. Each product is kind of going to operate differently, right? You'll see some listings where the top buy box winner may be a FBM seller, right? And then there may be 20, 30, 40% across all the sellers FBM. But on the flip side of the coin, there's just going to be other sellers and other listings that 100% of the buy box is FBA. But the luxury of selling on Amazon is we have all that information, so we don't have to guess, right? We have exactly how much of a specific buy box is going to FBA and how much is going to FBM. And we can make that decision on a case-by-case basis, right? So we don't have to kind of make those blanket statements. And so that's why Amazon's great. Like, we have all this information privy to us. And so we never have to guess how many FBM sellers are getting action on this listing, right? Because it's all right in front of us. And so with that being said, right, if you're looking to bring an FBM offer to the table, well, it serves you to seek out different product opportunities where the buy box algorithm is rewarding those same FBM offers, right? You can look through the buy box rotation and seek out different opportunities where maybe the top seller is FBM, or the top couple sellers are FBM, or there's a couple sellers in the top 5 or 6 that are FBM. How deep would you go for an item with 400 estimated monthly sales with a stable buy box and less than 8 sellers with low stock? I mean, depending on obviously the profitability, you left that part out, but I mean, everything sounds good, right? But it's hard to kind of make those sort of blanket statements without knowing obviously the profitability and whether it's wholesale or away, where we can buy it and those sorts of things. But I mean, just from a simple math perspective, if you take the 400 divided by 8, right? Was that 50 per seller? And then assuming, right, each of those sellers isn't going to have 50 units in stock. So then we have some extra wiggle room. So maybe we can bump it up to 70 or 80 or 90 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, and it is always going to be, right, test it out for yourself. Throw 50, 40 units, 60 units at it, see how it operates, see how many you sell per day, and then kind of scale up for that. Right, because that's always going to be the best information we learn is from your own business, operating in a market, and kind of gaining that insight for ourselves. Oh, I guess he said, and let us say it was ROI 25%.
I think it also depends on the stock of other sellers too.
100%.
Like if they all have like over 1,000 units, you probably know it's wholesale, and I don't think you'll get the buy box if you're buying 50 units that often, at least. So it kind of depends on the stock as well of other sellers.
Yeah, and like the size, right? If you are, again, all this information's in front of us. If you're a new seller that has like 5 reviews, and every seller on the listing has thousands of reviews, well, maybe that's not the best situation for you. That's not the best market to join, right? But it's always going to be a case-by-case basis. What VPN would you recommend? Jimmy, you probably have a better answer than I do. I don't really mess with VPNs too much.
I mean, I just use sorry. I just use wait, no. Yeah, Surfshark. I thought it was Shark Surf, but Surfshark. Basically, you can use top cashback. They'll have really good sales on cashback for these VPNs. It's like 108%, 110%. So, yeah, Surfshark. That's what I use.
And what was the one we interviewed Tom a couple of days ago? I think he said like Express VPN or something like that.
Yeah. He's Express.
Yeah. I mean, VPNs are obviously essential when you are operating from a different country, like our friend Billy is, which is awesome, right? He's in Argentina right now, just kind of kicking it, flipping some products on Amazon. Are you back in Utah?
I'm still in Virginia, and I'm not sure where I'm going next. I'll probably go back to Utah, but I might stop in like either Philadelphia or Colorado for a day or two and hang out with either you guys or in Colorado, my college friends and Ben Books the World. So we'll see.
He's in Colorado right now?
He's in Boulder, baby.
He was just in Pennsylvania like 2 days ago. And I guess it was Friday, like 3 days ago.
Dude, he has a trucker mindset when he drives. Yeah.
Bro, yeah, he can drive like hours and hours and hours without a break. And I was just, jeez.
He's a killer.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's sick at skiing. Have you ever seen him? You don't ski, right?
I'm like the worst at it. I've only done it like
Growing up in,
twice.
and you grew up in Boulder, right?
No, I grew up like in 15 different places.
Oh, but you went to school in Boulder then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Frat loyal. All right, guys, we probably got another like 5 or so, 10 minutes on here. So, any Amazon questions, definitely shoot them in the chat. We can get them answered before we head out here. Would you recommend to buy inventory for just 1 month or 3 months? Um, so, I mean, especially starting out, definitely keep it towards the 1 month, if possible, right? It's just going to allow you to stay liquid. It's going to be allow you to kind of spread that capital across multiple SKUs and multiple different opportunities, right? Because going deeper in a product doesn't make that product any better, right? You just have more longevity. You just have more stock in it, right? But whether you have 5 months or 7 months or 3 months on a specific SKU, you're not going to increase your odds of and increase your sales. You just decrease the opportunity, the frequency at which you have to restock. However, once we start talking about wholesale, there definitely is merit to ordering more, right, with better pricing and those sorts of things. But from an OA perspective, especially if your capital is really constrained and scarce, definitely operate closer to the 1 month side of things, just so you can stay liquid and maximize each of those dollars. What's your criteria for variations on a listing? So that's a good question, right? So it's going to kind of be a 3-part equation. First of all, it's going to be a matter of what's the relative velocity, how many sales are going to that specific SKU, right? Because the sales rank is not helpful, the estimated sales of seller is not helpful. We have to really do that, peel back the onion and let that one a layer further, and kind of decipher out of the entire piece of the pie how many sales are going to specific variation. From there, it's a matter of given that number of sales, how many and how much are they shared, right? Whether there's 5 sellers competing 10, 15, 20, that number is also going to differ across each of the variations, right? Naturally, a lot of there's just tends to be more competition in some of those higher variations, right? The first 2, 3, 4 lines of a variation just are going to warner a lot more competition. And so it's how many sales are going to a variation, what's the competition level with those sales, and then lastly, what's the price point, right? Because each of the variations are going to have a different product market, each are going to have a different price point, and they're all going to operate differently. And so it's kind of a marriage of those 3 factors that really ultimately dictate the decision.
Oh, dude, Max White is from Utah. That's a dub.
Really? Yeah, he's in the program right now. He's a good dude.
Yeah. I'm looking at the roadmap. He's talking in there. Let's go.
Oh, he
Best
super
state.
said he was from Utah last night. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
What's the longest you guys hold product if a price tanks with like Nike items? Um, so again, it depends on a couple of things. First and foremost, how many units are below market, right? How many, is it just one seller with a couple of units that's bringing down the whole market? Or are there 20, 30 different sellers with tens of units that are bringing down the market, right? And so that's the first thing is evaluate, given the velocity going to a product in a specific month, how many units are below that threshold, below your given price threshold. Next is how much you have tied up in that product. Right? If your business is worth $20,000 and you have 10,000 tied up in one product that's now tanked, well, you have a lot more motivation to kind of liquidate and move on and keep it moving, right? But if your business is worth $200,000 and you have 5,000 tied up in a product, you may be able to be a little more patient with that specific SKU. On a wholesale order, do you send 100% of the order in, or are you holding some of the inventory in storage? Well, being that I don't have a warehouse anymore, everything's going into preps, or everything's going into FBA. Ideally, I've never really had the scenario where I've ordered like months and months and months of worth of stuff. I guess luckily, right? But yeah, I never really ran into that. It's always been like a month or 2 months or so of units, and I haven't really had to deal with extra like that. Um, luckily. So I pretty much use Equalizer 100%. What about you, Jimmy?
I'm not using a repricing tool at the moment.
Actually?
No. I tried out Seller Snap for like 2 weeks and I really liked it. I just don't like the volume with wholesale where I wanted to use it. So no repricing.
Alrighty, my friends. I think we're gonna head out for the night. 300K a month and no repricer. Yeah, I'm actually. I didn't know you didn't use repricer. I thought you did.
No. Like when I get more to wholesale, I'll use it. But
Yeah. All right, guys. See you next time, Jimbo. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you, dog. Adios, everyone.